Hi, my name is Joleon Lescott, ex-professional footballer, dad, husband.
Can you tell us about your time at Manchester City, your personal highlights here, and what it meant to be part of such a huge club?
Yeah, I played for Manchester City between the years of 2009 and 2014. Lucky enough to be a part of the team and the squad and the club also to win their first trophy in I think it was 34 years, which was the FA Cup, and also the first Premier League and the beginning of the journey to the current reign in English football.
So how does it feel to be back at the Etihad? Does it feel like a different world, or does it take you right back to it?
No, it's totally, as I'm used to it, it's totally different. I come here quite often. I live locally. It's not my first time to be back here, but yeah, it's always a special place to be because obviously some great memories here.
So how did it feel playing for England, and how did that compare, like playing for your country versus playing for your club?
Playing for England is a huge honour. It's something you dream about, and before you even realise you're going to be a professional, it's an ambition. And then obviously as you progress in your career, you tend to analyse how close you are to it, but to play for your country and represent England in tournaments was a huge honour for me and family as well.
What was your personal highlight in playing for England?
Personal highlight playing for England, I would say scoring. I was able to score a goal in a tournament, which again, some great players haven't been able to do. So to be able to look back when now it's all said and done and say that, yeah.
So to go back to the City, can you tell us about that game in 2012? Did you think that it was all over and they lost the league? At what point did you think it might come back?
No, again, we was at a place where we believed before the game we was going to win. Not take it for granted, but obviously as the game went on, we went in front. It was we believed we were going to be able to hold on, and then it played out the way it did, which is not ideal. But in hindsight, obviously winning is the most important thing. So yeah, it was a special game and an occasion to be a part of. But yeah, to win it in any way is a massive achievement.
So moving on, can you tell us about your transition from being a professional footballer to your second career? How you found it? Was there anything unexpected that took you by surprise?
Well, obviously transitioning from player to what is deemed now as a second career, in layman's terms, retiring. But yeah, no, I'm not entirely sure which direction I'm going in yet. I'm just trying to gather in as much information and experiences, stay involved in the game to some capacity, but in what area I'm unsure yet. But luckily I've created relationships and opportunities where allow me to explore different avenues.
So do you think had you had more support and like attention placed on a second career when you were playing, you'd have more of an idea where you'd want to go now?
No, it's not that I don't have an idea of where I want to go. It's just making sure it's the right decision. I'm aware that I'm not going to love anything the same way I did as playing, so I don't want to be rushing into a decision where I'm fixed in a role or a job or an occupation where the enjoyment isn't there to some level.
Cool. So can you tell us about the sports directorship course, what that involves, what you feel you've learned from it?
Yeah, again, the sporting director course is something I looked at a couple of years ago, and it's something I'm excited about completing, hopefully. Obviously networking, learning things I have zero experience in, finance being one, managing budgets, but the biggest draw was the masters. The fact that I potentially have a master's degree, having left school with no GCSEs is a massive draw for me. So that is a big plus.
So how important do you think it is to gain an education, either alongside sport or like post-retiring?
Is it important to gain an education? I think it's important to gain experiences and also take yourself out of your comfort zone. Most sportsmen, not all, but most are focused on being the best athlete they can be. And obviously that doesn't last forever. So again, it's just important to put yourself in areas, if you want to stay in the game, outside your comfort zone. Because the people that are potentially going to employ you need to know that you can operate outside of the athlete parameters.
So how has the programme helped you in your current roles at BT and England under-21s?
Again, it's helped due to gaining an understanding in things I was unsure about. Obviously, speaking, presenting is a big thing. Having to create presentations, never had to do that before. So again, it's preparing me. As it helps in the roles I'm doing now, probably not as much as what I would say going forward, I'm sure, and hopefully in years to come, I can look back at this course and be like, yes, this was a definitive moment. I learned this on the course and it's helped me to get to where I want to be.
So you got roles both in coaching and media side of things. Has that sort of helped you realise how interlinked everything is and how everything works together in sport?
Yeah, definitely. I was aware that things were interlinked, but the power of each other, I don't think there's one more denominator than the other. I think we've seen how important the media side of it was during COVID when fans weren't allowed and the coverage was there, but also how much support and a mental stimulus the actual game gives. It was one of the first things that was allowed to reopen during a tough time for everyone, but due to the emotional connection that everyone has with sport, football was the first thing that the government were openly relaxing guidelines on. So again, it's so important that they play a part to everyone.
So what's the one thing you've learnt about football since retiring from the professional game?
Oh, one thing I've learned about football since retiring. Probably learned that it's not as serious as you think when you're inside of it. I think your world, and rightly so, as an athlete and as a player, your world revolves around it. Your decisions should revolve around what's best for your career and performance. But when you're away from it, it's not deemed as important as I thought it was, especially within my family dynamics. Now we have different priorities. So yeah, it's a nice surprise, should I say.
That's a good answer. Lastly, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've been given? One bit of advice? I honestly don't know. But the most relevant recently was to explore a multiple of avenues. Since retiring was, yes, get into media if possible, get into coaching. Obviously, admin side of it is if you want to go down there, try and get as many experiences as you want and you will find something that you gravitate to. So don't try to prioritize something before you've experienced it.
Cool. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.